What's up? How's it going? It's Charlie here talking about my tape haul, my first tape haul. So I was interested in getting into tapes. It's just cheaper than vinyl, um, and it's fun. It's fun to collect. And so there was a store, Maplewood, called Soma Sounds, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do the first one, my first haul, and I did it without having a tape player. So I went in very blind because I'm pretty new to it. Haven't done any tape listening since the early 2000s. So I was excited to get started. So I went to the store. It's right on Ridgewood Road, and it's new. Um, it's just February 2024. So I walked in, and everybody's looking at records, rightfully so, and shuffling through, and the records are like $30, and you go in here, and they're like $1.99 or whatever. So the first one I found was the first one that caught my eye, Lennon Legend, a classic one. I just figured like, okay, I love the Beatles. I had this album on CD before. Um, I actually couldn't get it to work. Like the tape doesn't go through, so I guess I have to like unscrew this and get it working again. But yeah, the classics were on here. Imagine, which everybody heard a billion times. Insta Karma, which is great. Mother, Jealous Guy, which is a great song, probably one of his best solo songs. Um, Woman, Beautiful Boy, which is fine. Watching the Wheels Go By, also a really good song. So I just added this to the collection, and I'm like, well, it doesn't work, but I don't feel like going back and like explaining like, hey, this 199 tape doesn't work. But yeah, that was my first one. I have a couple more. Um, I'll start with the Manhattan soundtrack, Woody Allen film, which you see my daughter immediately took apart. I have to just reel this back in. I listened to this on a walk. Rhapsody in Blue is the big song on it, um, by Gershwin. But I can't really help but think Rhapsody in Blue is just the United song. So I'm just thinking about I'm on a flight. And the thing about music is it's all memory based. I mean, a lot of it's memory based. So we're listening to it for different reasons. Um, we're excited about the sounds and the vibrations and the song structures and solos and lyrics and stuff. But also, like when you listen to music, you're just transported in into your brain. And like a Magic School Bus, you're sort of floating around from neuron to neuron, and the music triggers memories. Watch. I think, which is why I think we love music so much, because it makes us remember our past, and that could be good or bad. But going to different record stores, is part of that experience. We're excited about going to a record store and talking about music with the people who work there and having a good experience. Recently, I had a not great experience at Scotty's and Summit. And it kind of taints uh, the tape, how you listen to that artist. I was at Father John Misty concert in New York and at Radio City Music Hall, and there was these girls who were just screaming every lyric. And now I can't listen to Father John Misty because I'm thinking about these girls just yelling about, you know, whatever Father John Misty, his cynical lyrics, which is like very odd because they were experiencing it like a Britney Spears concert or whoever the new reference is, Taylor Swift. I was excited that like 19-year-old girls were into Father John Misty, but it was just it was horrible, and now I can't listen to it anymore. So but this is why you kind of like, and what's good about tapes is that you find these tapes of bands you never heard of. This one is called Dear Mr. President. Never heard this band before. Just got it based off of the. Look at that. That's just the, you know. That's the cover. It's just white. This one says promotional copy, not for sale, which is interesting. And, you know, I looked at, I think the date, I was looking at the date, 1988, so I'm thinking like a new wave, post-punk. And it was really good. Let's put it on. I have the CR318. You know, in a romantic, perfect world, I'm finding my old cassette player, or I'm finding something vintagey. But I got this one on Amazon, and it works pretty well. It also has a speaker element to it, so listen to this. Great guitar work. Has that 80s feel, but it's the 80s feel with cool guitar work. Sort of a Talking Heads-esque instrumentation to it. And what I like about tapes, what I'm learning, is just, this is like a time capsule, right? Somebody bought this or was given this as promotional, and somebody listened to this, and then it just sat. The music on here just sat, waiting for somebody to like uncover it. So you kind of feel like this musical Indiana Jones, finding these like lost scrolls of music, right? So I like this. I have to get into it a little bit more. I gotta, you know, you have to like spend time with it, and this type of 80s music is not something I would normally pick up, so it's pretty new to me. But that's the fun of it. That's the fun about tape cassettes, is that you just, you know, you have, when you, the point of listening to music is to create these new memories, and you really are starting from scratch from stuff that you've never heard before, and you can really, you know, think about. You know, something about new music is that, like, you don't only get that experience once where you're listening to a song just one time, or just for the first time, rather. When you listen to a song for the first time, you have an experience with that song that you'll never get again with that song, where it's a blank slate and you're either surprised or, you know, taken aback, or maybe it doesn't hit you at first, but then you still log that experience, and then when you go back to that song, you're like, oh, I didn't realize this part, I didn't realize that part, and you only get to listen to a song for the first time once, and it's a special moment. Speaking of mixtapes, this really caught my eye. Look at the cover here. So it's a TVT compilation. I never heard of TVT records, but this is the Fall '98 collection mixtape. The bands on it are, let's see, this, let me just pull it out. The Saints, the Connells, Shona Lanning, the Jack Rubies, the Time Lords, the Groove Robbers, and Pancho D Rock, which was like a sort of a Hispanic hip hop. Let's see where. That's the other thing about tapes are, like, you stop it, it starts right back where you started listening to, and you stop listening to, and then sort of like its own little time capsule from the last time you listened to it, unless you listen to the full thing. Let's see where it's at. Totally 80s feel. Again, post-punk. But I love this compilation album. It has the address, 59 West 19th Street. So right there in the West Village, Chelsea area. New York has the phone number, the 212, the classic New York, 929-0570. I wonder if that still works or not. But again, this is a time capsule. This tape will not last forever, but lasted the last 40 years. A little less than 40 years, but I don't know how many hands it traded, but it got to me at this particular moment. And that cover just screams like Replacements, Minutemen type artwork, which I think is pretty cool. Right, I talked about Manhattan. What was this one? Okay, this is the record that I want to talk to about the most. This is something you've all seen before, probably listened to it on vinyl, maybe on tape cassette. U2's War. I was not a huge U2 fan as well. I like their greatest hits, but I never listened to an album. What's great about tape cassettes is that you're forced to listen to the full album. I wanted to have that experience again of like really getting into each song. And then with U2, this record has Sunday, Bloody Sunday, New Year's Day, Two Hearts Beat as One, and Surrender. They have huge hits around some songs I never heard of. I never heard of Seconds before, and that's a great song. The Refugee I may have heard once or twice. I think I've listened to War before, but what I like about listening to this tape, and if you're a tape person, it's the only reason you'd be watching this, unless you're my kids, in which case I know only at a full capacity there'll probably be upwards to 3 or 4 people watching this total over time. But what's great about listening to U2 on tape cassette is that puts them down a notch musically, sonically. U2 is one of these bands that are just so big. The productions are just so huge. And when you listen to a remaster on Spotify, or you download something that's high res, you listen to them on Sirius XM, it always sounds loud. It always sounds like big and in your face. And How to Dismantle Atomic Bomb and Vertigo, these just sound like studio albums that are just loud and meticulous and whatever. When you listen to an 80s, this is from 83, when you listen to War on tape cassette, it puts U2 down. The feeling you get through the fuzziness of the guitar through the tape, and the lyrics and the raspiness that comes with listening to Bono on tape. This is a different way of experiencing music. One of the biggest bands of all time. You experience it through a tape cassette. It's a different thing. It's a different way to listen. It's a different way to get a different feeling out of music. And I think that's what's great about tape cassettes is the feeling of and it's nostalgia, but it's the feeling of these new kinds of sounds. These sounds, you may have listened to this album, you know, dozens of times or hundreds of times or 1,000 times since '83. You heard it on vinyl and you heard it on Spotify and on CD and all that stuff. Then you re-experiencing this album on tape cassette. It's gonna feel different. It's gonna provoke new thoughts. You're gonna listen to the instruments differently. You're gonna get more out of it. That's the fun thing about tape cassettes. So I got this, again, all of these came from Soma Sounds, located in Maplewood on Ridgewood Road. Next to Soma Sounds, this is all New Jersey. I live in North Jersey. I'm really excited to, continue my journey throughout New Jersey, go out to New York. Sometimes for work I'll go to LA, so I'm really excited for Aniba Records. But I went next door to Valley Vintage. They told me about another store in West Orange, New Jersey. Their bigger store. May have a tape cassette player. Didn't find one. But at Valley Vintage, they have a lot of tapes as well. I picked up 2 more. I went one of the best New Jersey albums ever, The River. Got that. This tape has both records on one tape. And I don't know if that downgrades the music or not. But this album, with this particular tape, was a little distorted. I'll play for you why. See, it has that crackly sound to it. Sounds like it's like sort of underwater. I'm gonna fast forward just a little bit. Let's see if it clears up. There you go. So I don't know if that's a downgrade or not. If you were watching this, I wonder if they have a double cassette, which fit a little bit more information on each side. Maybe it's a little bit more clear. Maybe it's just a warp tape that didn't last the test of time. But being a Springsteen fan, loving The River, and being in New Jersey, I was just like, this makes sense. So I picked it up. Valley Vintage on Valley Street in West Orange. The other one I picked up is the Smithereens, which I've never heard before. I've never heard the Smithereens. They sound like a Replacements type band based on the name, but and what I found, and this was my first day, like I said, but what I found was that every record store I go to, they have a Smithereens tape there. That hiss. Hiss is great too, because I have tinnitus, and the hiss sort of blends in with the hiss of my brain. Loud, thunderous guitars. Definitely a garage rock feel, and it sounds great on cassette. If I listen to this on Spotify, this particular album and this particular sound, I don't know if I would have liked it at all. But on tape cassette, it feels like this band was born to be on tape cassette. And they have this like early 90s, they have more of a late 80s vibe, but with an early 90s sound to it, if that makes sense. And I just thought it was cool. I have to get into it a little bit more, but this was a couple weeks ago when I got it, and I have a few more tapes that I got since then. So yeah, this is the deal. I'm just gonna sort of log my experience. Again, not expecting anybody to really care. I thought it was cool to do this in my basement, like old school style. People listen to tapes in their basement. It's a mess, but I don't expect my wife to see this video, so she wouldn't be embarrassed. But yeah, I'm excited for the journey. These were two great experiences going to, right here in Maplewood. Having a record store is really great, and they were so nice in there, and it was such a cool vibe. People were coming in and out. Kids, teenagers were looking at it. People my age, people older than me. It was a cool experience. It's something that you want out of a local record shop. Valley Vintage is cool, just a super cool, like, multi-level vintage store. It has a bunch of cool stuff in it. Just old postcards and tapes and a lot of CDs and a lot of records. So this journey has been fun so far. And I love playing tapes for my kids. That's a lot of fun too. We'll get to Scotty's and Summit, and sort of my experience wasn't great there, but for now I'm just happy to sort of express why tapes are cool and they're fun, and it's fun to listen to, and it's fun to collect and go on this treasure hunt. All these tapes and these albums are not music that I would normally listen to. I'm not seeking out the stuff that albums I've listened to a million times. I purposely want to check out albums that I don't know and experience them for the first time on tape. That is to say, I'm still like on my search. My wish list is to find some Grateful Dead shows on tape. I'm gonna find some old rap mixtapes from the early 2000s. I love rap music. I love Grateful Dead. I really want to get a 80s punk, post-punk. I would love to get like a Minutemen, a Minor Threat, Fugazi would be amazing. The Replacements. I also would like to hear REM. Some of their early albums, their 80s albums, or really sort of anything. I'm not, Radiohead's my favorite band, but I'm not looking for a Radiohead tape. If I find it, I think it would be cool. I'll probably pick it up, but these like real sonic-y sounding tapes, I'm not as interested in. I'm kind of more interested in like raw tapes. I'm also looking for mixtapes too. So I don't think anybody's watching this, but if you are, I would love to hear about your mixtape if you made one and want to talk about it, because that's a whole different thing. You make a mixtape, it's a whole different experience. So I hear my kid crying. Of a 5-month-old. I'm on paternity leave. It's my project, so I'm gonna get going. But if you have any tape insight and you're watching this, which may or may not happen, let me know. Love to hear from you.